Some of you may have seen the movie Schindler's List at some point in your life. In some instances, teachers will show the movie in school, probably mostly high school, given the exceptionally heavy and brutal material of the film, being a tad much for someone much younger to be able to handle. And I sincerely doubt that anyone who made it all the way through that movie, paying attention as the titular character went through his arc, came away feeling the same way they did before they saw the movie. There's a visceral reaction to watching those events unfold, aghast at the cruelty and senseless violence and destruction. Oskar Schindler, in this movie, starts the movie obsessed with his money and status. He begins his business by taking tips on what was going to be needed for the war Germany was engaging in. He easily schmoozed with the Nazi elite. He cynically recruited Jewish people because he could get away with paying them less. And every decision was made in the interest of furthering his goals as a businessman. He quickly scoops up any Jewish worker that he can before being sent out to a concentration camp. And this gets the desperate attention of others seeking any way out of the hellish landscape unfolding before them. They approach him, begging for him to hire family. And at first he rebukes them, asking why he should spend money on someone he doesn't need. The thing is, the Krakow concentration camp construction and subsequent liquidation of the Krakow ghetto, as in the mass deportation and killing of the Jewish people forced into the ghetto in the first place, had deeply unsettled Schindler. He held on to a distinct memory of a young girl with a red coat amidst the chaos, and then later, her body on a wagon load of others. In the first video I ever made talking about symbolism and lore, I used this image as an example of how red often indicates a stronger attention being paid to someone or something. In this instance, this was the image of the horrors of the Holocaust that drew his attention. A young girl who could never have deserved what happened to her became emblematic of the cruelty of the Nazis who carried out that liquidation of the ghetto. So he relented and paid for the family of one woman to come and work for him. It wouldn't hurt, of course. More hands on deck meant more work getting done, right? And then he got more, and slowly the winds shift on him. He started the business out of self-interest, but he became more and more fervent in saving as many lives as he could. He had his accountant, Stern, put together a list of 850 people to come and work for him, to rescue them from being sent to a concentration camp. Stern was actually instrumental in recruiting several of the early workers into Schindler's factory. As a matter of fact, he was the one who guided them through the process of changing their papers to become essential workers so that they could be taken in. So a lot of the credit really does start with Stern. Of course, doing this never would have gone under the radar during the height of fascist rule, and the only way he was able to maintain his safe haven was to bribe Nazi officials to keep the heat off of him. He poured money into bribes and black market deals that provided supplies for his workers, and by the time the war ended in 1945, he had nothing left of his fortune. One of the most infamous scenes of an infamous movie is the penultimate scene, the climax where Schindler is presented with a ring made by his workers, now freed, engraved with the phrase, "He who saves one life saves the world entire." And he shatters. Ashamed of the money he spent on himself, he rants about how he could have sold his car and saved 10 more people. How many countless more could he have saved if he'd spent his fortune more wisely? The pin bearing the Nazi swastika, the one he wore proudly at the start of the movie, he points out he could have sold that and freed 2 more people, maybe only 1. And he breaks down sobbing about how he could have saved 1 more person, 1 more life. The regret that he could have done more, saved more, the anguish for all those who died, for those who died at the hands of those he intentionally affiliated with, and the relief at realizing in full that the war was over. The killing could stop. No more girls with red coats on a wagon of corpses. This movie is based on the true story. A man named Oskar Schindler truly did save many, many Jewish people during the Holocaust. Those he saved took on the moniker Schindler-Juden, and he has a place in history for his attempts to save so many people. He did what was in his power to do in the darkest of times, and has gone down in history. It's so easy to fall into the traps of a society that tells us our only way out of suffering is to pin the blame entirely on the shoulders of an underrepresented minority within society. I see a little girl shouting at the Jewish people as they are forced out of the ghetto, "Goodbye, Jews!" with malicious glee. And I think to pictures of white people tailing a black girl at the beginning of desegregation with the same hate on their faces. I've seen that hate in my lifetime, in the faces of the Westboro Baptist Church who stand outside of funerals with their signs decrying the deceased as hated by God. And I'm sure that there are several more examples of blatant hate that anyone can call to mind in the modern era, where just about anyone can take a picture or record a video of that kind of hate as it unfolds in the streets, right in front of us. All it takes is someone taking advantage of our fears and successfully blaming a group of people for all that ails us, and you would be surprised to see how quickly we, as human beings, can start condoning systemic violence. How we make excuses for those who kill extrajudicially, that is, without legal due process to determine guilt, because we think they're killing the right people. And I hope, for everyone out there who has fallen into that hole, where you say out of the corner of your mouth how someone deserved to die, I hope you remember the image of Schindler breaking down about one more person, one more life that could have been saved. Because you can draw a line in the sand today. No more killing, no more brutality, no more excuses for the most egregious murderers. You can save one more person by standing up today. And if you save one life, you save the world entire.
I could have got one more person, and I didn't. I didn't.